We are all incredibly different. One person might be writing a research paper right now, while another is busy playing Minecraft. One listens to Kanye, the other to Beethoven. That guy counts every penny, while this one is out there buying houses for people. It seems like we're all unique, one of a kind. But all of these people, including you and me, will die one day. It's not the most pleasant topic, and most people subconsciously suppress thoughts about death because it's too terrifying to fully contemplate. Yet, for many of us, death serves as the ultimate motivator. Even though it's uncomfortable to think about, people have pondered the nature of death and our relationship to it for centuries. So, in this video, we're going to take a brief look at some of the most interesting theories. And I'll be genuinely happy if something resonates with you enough to dive deeper into the subject on your own. Let's begin with Ernest Becker, who wrote an entire book called The Denial of Death. He wasn't just some random guy jotting down his thoughts. Becker was an anthropologist and psychologist who lectured at some of the top universities of his time. Oh, and one more thing. He had colon cancer and died at the age of 49, just 2 years after his diagnosis. So the guy definitely knew a thing or two about death. For his work, Becker was awarded the Pulitzer Prize posthumously, while my jokes will probably land me a special seat in hell. But since I'm still here, let me quickly share the core ideas with you to help ease your fear of death. Becker argues that we are born into a world that fills us with terror, and our primary motivation is a biological need to control our anxiety and deny the fear of death. But how can we create any semblance of control in this chaotic and brutal world? Let me think. What if we start creating things we can control, or even control other people? And thus, civilization, culture, and religion were born. Everything around you, this entire system, is a manifestation of our defense mechanisms. Without it, we would be paralyzed by the awareness of our mortality. Civilization's development allows us to feel like we're leaving something behind, while religion, with its promise of an afterlife, helps us ignore and deny death altogether. Becker writes, "This is the terror. To have emerged from nothing, to have a name, consciousness of self, deep inner feelings, an excruciating inner yearning for life and self-expression, and with all this, yet to die." To cope with this fear, we push it as deep as possible into our subconscious so it doesn't ruin our day-to-day lives. And in doing so, we build what he calls the life lie of character. Every child draws strength from adults and forms a personality by internalizing the qualities of a godlike figure. In the child's mind, thoughts arise like, "If I become like my all-powerful father, I won't die," leading the child to strive for self-expansion, or what Becker refers to as cosmic significance. This is the essence of humanity's tragic fate. We are compelled to desperately justify ourselves as beings of supreme value in the universe. We feel the need to stand out, to become heroes, to make the greatest possible contribution to the world, and prove that we are more important than anything else. If it's not clear yet, this issue is the core of our lives. Neither your exams, nor that mistake at work, and certainly not your random teammates in Brawl Stars, are as crucial. It's this combination of innate narcissism and the fundamental need for self-esteem that creates a creature whose primary condition for life is the feeling of being a supreme object of importance. We are like video game characters, donning the armor of our personalities to feel secure and pretend that the world is controllable. The irony is that the deepest human need is to escape the anxiety of death and annihilation. Yet life itself is what awakens this anxiety. As a result, we shy away from fully embracing life. Clearly, none of us can tackle this existential dread alone. That's why society creates a second line of defense against our natural helplessness by offering us a system of leveling up, with heroes that allow us to believe we are overcoming death by contributing to something truly valuable and lasting. This is why we sacrifice ourselves to build families, amass wealth, write books, or even construct entire cities in Minecraft. Despite this, Becker advises us to reflect on death. On one hand, it seems odd, because we try to avoid such thoughts to keep from falling into existential despair. But on the other hand, acknowledging our mortality, while it may lead to disappointment and the loss of our protective character armor, is crucial. It allows us to make conscious choices and truly live in the face of this inevitable terror. This is the path of the existential hero, who differs from the ordinary person. Instead of fleeing from these thoughts and hiding in illusions, this individual accepts their helplessness and vulnerability. By living each day with voluntary awareness of death, this person faces a choice: to either despair or to take a leap of faith. A person cannot endure their own insignificance unless they find a way to transform it into meaning at the highest possible level. It's easy to say, but far harder to do. Reaching this kind of mindset consciously is a real challenge, which is why many of us hide our internal struggles, like amassing wealth to privately reflect a sense of heroic worth. Recognizing what one does to feel heroic is perhaps the most critical self-analytic challenge in life. To address this problem, Stoics, for example, practiced memento mori, reflecting on their mortality to remember that we all must die. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." In this way, death becomes a tool that allows a person to live their life fully. The fear should not be of death itself, but of never truly living. Stoics do not fear death. For them, it is a natural part of existence. As Epictetus put it, "I have to die. If it is now, well, then I die now. If later, then now I will take my lunch, since the hour for lunch has arrived, and dying I will tend to later." If every moment could be your last, it helps you take nothing for granted and dive fully into the present, aware of the impermanence of life. It also helps you focus on what truly matters. Consider all the people who once experienced intense anger, those most famous, most miserable, most hated, and ask yourself, where are they now? Smoke? Dust? A legend? Or not even a legend? How insignificant the things we so passionately desire really are. As for seemingly grim philosophers like Nietzsche, he also acknowledges and even celebrates death, speaking of free death. He discusses the notion of a proper death, one that is freely chosen and comes at the right time for the individual. For Nietzsche, death should not be an inevitable end or a form of escape from life's burdens. It should be an act of free will. A person who has achieved true freedom and defined their own purpose must be able to choose death for themselves, not lingering in this world longer than necessary once their mission is complete, turning death into the final, bold statement in their story when they decide it's time to close the chapter. It might seem like Nietzsche is pushing us towards self-destruction, but in reality, old Uncle Friedrich deeply valued life, despite the suffering he endured and how he eventually left this world. He never claimed that we should use suicide as a means to escape life or its difficulties. So dry those tears and finish the video. Instead, he insists that we should live a full life, true to our personal worldview, and that death should never be imposed upon us. Nietzsche's philosophy shows us that we have the power to conquer death and make it part of our success in life. He also speaks of how some people, though alive, are essentially dead because they are not living fully. He calls these people the living dead, those who avoid life by burying themselves in work, refusing to confront existence head-on. And once again, recalling Becker's work, which we began this whole discussion with, I leave you with just one wish: that the immortality project you've started will be seen through to completion. And when your final moment does arrive, you won't be filled with regret for merely taking up space beneath the sky.